We're here with Ambassador Leiter, ambassador to the United States from Israel, who himself lost a son tragically in this war. We had him on about a year or so ago. It's a horrible thing. 6 children lost their father, and you lost your son. So you know what this is all about personally, Mr. Ambassador. And what's going on with this Hamas and the way they're even releasing these bodies is so disgusting, so barbaric. I'd like you to tell the American people what happened today and how the Israeli people view this.
Well, thank you, Mark. Good evening. Good to be with you.
You too.
Look, we're in a civilizational battle. This isn't a local issue. It's not a regional issue. It's a civilizational issue, and we're at the forefront of this battle against barbarism. What happened today, aside from the fact that 4 people were returned dead after they were taken hostage alive. By the way, I must reveal to you now, it's just been revealed to the public about 10 minutes ago, that the 4th body, who was supposed to be the mother of these 2 babies,
it's not the mother.
It's not the mother. No, they think they're going to laugh at us to the very moment. They returned an anonymous body. We have no idea who it is. It's not one of the hostages. Just to try to degrade and embarrass and poke fun, the same way they had this really horrific, ghoulish celebration as they released the bodies today with marching music. These are very depraved people. And it's very important to understand that, there's something called evil. For many years, there was an attempt to, at moral equivalence, and everything is subjective. And no, there's such a thing as objective evil. I think the Secretary of State today called it pure evil. Hamas is pure evil, but not just Hamas. You've got the Islamic Jihad there as well. We don't know who is responsible for the second act of depravity today. And by the grace of God, nobody additionally was killed, but we had 3 massive bombs go off at bus depots just south of Tel Aviv. The 4th one didn't explode, but what we did find on the 4th one was an inscription in Arabic, which called for the victory of jihad. So, we know where it's coming from. So they returned bodies that they had taken hostage, and they tried to kill more people today. And really, by the grace of God, the bombs didn't go off, because had they, they went off, but they went off at the depot. And had they gone off during, prime time, during rush hour, there could have been scores of people killed. Again, this is a fight against barbarity, and we're a resilient people, Mark. We're going to win this.
It just, I think, at least in the United States, in our government, the tide has turned 100%. That is, even though the prior regime claimed to be supportive of Israel, they withheld weapons, then they limited what you could do with the weapons and so forth and so on. I get a very different sense from the Trump administration, from his Secretary of State, from his National Security Advisor, his Defense Department, and all the rest, that they've about had it with these terrorists too. And they're 100% behind Israel. Obviously, there needs to be coordination between allies and so forth. But every time President Trump sees something like this, it absolutely turns his stomach. You get that sense, too?
Well, I do. And I think it's not just emotional. I think the president is echoing a sense of moral clarity. And when the president speaks of moral clarity, everybody around him, his ministers, his secretaries, the administration speaks with moral clarity. And, it is a stark difference. The music we heard until recently was, more humanitarian aid to Gaza. We were never holding up humanitarian aid. The only thing that was being held up were weapons to Israel that we had paid for. We had a 7-front war. We're still in this battle. And we had an arms embargo we had to deal with. And in this case, the music is very different. The music is, this is evil, and Israel has not only the right, but the obligation to defeat its enemies, because these are not just enemies of Israel. These are enemies of Israel and of Western civilization. We're the little Satan. you here in the United States are the big Satan. If we lose, they're coming for you next. So we need to win this battle for Western civilization, and we understand that, and we're poised to do that.
And actually, they did come for us on 9/11, and they're going to come for us again, which is a very important point that you're making. This family, they lose the mother, they lose the two little babies. I mean, murdering a 9-month-old, and I believe Ariel was 4 years old at the time, these beautiful little boys and the mother, and we remember watching them take them away. You could see the absolute horror on the mother's face, like she knew, oh my God, something horrific is going to happen. I mean, the people in Israel must just be in such, first of all, pain and anger, no?
Well, Mark, the father, Yarden, actually ran out of their home in the kibbutz of Nir Oz to protect his family. And he was snatched. He was taken hostage. And he didn't even know what happened to his wife and the two little children. They were taken separately afterwards and held separately. And there's going to be even more disturbing evidence coming out as to just how they were killed and when they were killed. I can't get into it now. But really, really horrific kind of behavior. It's depraved. And what we're feeling, well, look, we're feeling like a people at war. We're battle-scarred. This has been a year and a half of war. You mentioned my son. I know so many people who, have lost last night, as a matter of fact. There were 12 orphans who lost their fathers who came to visit Washington. And I sat next to an orphan whose father was killed together with my son.
Oh,
so
my
you had three generations where, it's my son, his father, and they're killed together. They were the lead team that led the forces into Gaza and in response to October 7th, and they walked into a booby trap on the end of the second week of the war. But what I can tell you is when I looked out over these 12 orphans, and when each one of them spoke a little bit about their fathers and then about their future, each one is about 16, 17, and they're talking about the day they're looking forward to enlisting in the IDF, in the Israeli army, to help protect and defend the Jewish people in the state of Israel. And it was with such pride that I heard these young men speaking. So, yes, the population is hurting. Everybody has been affected by this war. Everybody knows someone who has lost someone. And then you have to remember all the injured soldiers. We've got over 5,000 seriously injured soldiers. And then we have all the people who are injured by Palestinian terrorism, which is almost a daily occurrence in Judea and Samaria and elsewhere. And then we've got tens of thousands of people who have been removed from their homes because of the Hezbollah missiles in the north, because of the attack in the south outside of Gaza. And people removed from their homes for a year and a half also have tremendous issues to deal with, tremendous challenges. Many of them cannot go back yet to their homes. So we've got a nation in trauma, but it's also a nation resilient and determined to win this war. We're going to win this war. We're going to come out on top of the war because we understand this is our mission, and not just for ourselves, but really for humanity. It's a civilizational battle for humanity, which we must win. And with the help of the United States, with the help of the Trump administration, with the full backing of our closest ally, our big brother, we're going to do this right.
You're listening to Ambassador Leiter, Israel's ambassador to the United States. Obviously, I'm not going to press you to elaborate. That's not my intention. But you did say that these children were murdered in a horrendous way. Did you say that? I did, but it's premature at this point to go into any
details.
I don't want to press you.
I believe that in the near future it's going to be released. It shouldn't surprise anyone.
No, but
we
disgusts
know how,
us.
Well, look, these people are being kept in underground tunnels. Mm-hmm. For God's sake, I made the point at a gathering in one of the big temples here in Washington the other night. It was 500 days. They were marking 500 days to the taking of the hostages. In the Ten Commandments, we've got "Thou shalt not kill." It's actually "Thou shalt not murder," because sometimes in war, for example, you have to kill. But "Thou shalt not murder" is the correct translation. And the next commandment is "Thou shalt not steal." And stealing, rabbis explain to us in that passage, refers to stealing human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You don't steal human beings. You don't hold human beings hostage. That's something that is, prehistoric almost. And these people want to take us back in time. A whole, if you go through Jerusalem, we have tunnels too, but these tunnels unearth history, and they take us back to the indigenous nature of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, and they show what it was like at the time of King David and King Solomon. You walk with a Torah book, which is really the book, which is the Bible. That you don't need to buy a Torah book. You just take the Bible. You walk through these tunnels, and yet these people, these Hamas and Islamic Jihad, these operatives of Iran, build tunnels too, but they're to keep people in dungeons down below and to keep missiles that they fire into our civilian population centers. Mark, I'm sure you know this, but the extent of the tunnels, and this was all international funding. They took the money instead of giving it to poor people who need it for social issues, for health issues, for educational issues. They used it to store missiles and now people, and there's 450 miles of tunnel. I mean, that's the width of the state of Pennsylvania in Gaza itself. That's what we had to confront. That's what our soldiers, our incredibly brave soldiers, had to confront. They had to fight a war above ground, underground. And I've spoken to many experts who were in Fallujah and Mosul and some of the most difficult battles. They said they didn't have to face anything like this. This is just beyond difficult. And we were able to do it with great courage, and while taking care of the civilian population at the same time. We're gonna persist. We're gonna make the case, and now, please God, with the help of the American administration, the Trump administration, President Trump and his cabinet, we're gonna see this thing through to the end. And the end is when the head of the snake, when Iran is denuclearized. Iran is responsible for all of these terror proxies. And if they're allowed to achieve nuclear capabilities, that means that all of their terror proxies will be operating under a nuclear umbrella. This is impossible. This is existential, not only for us, but for Europe and for the United States.
All right.
We have to make sure that doesn't happen.
We literally have 2 minutes, and a hard break means they'll cut us off right in the middle of a sentence. But in 2 minutes' time, tell us about your son that passed away.
Well, my son was killed on November 10th, just before the beginning of the Shabbat. He was 39. He had spent 15 years in special ops in the Air Force. He had trained with the Delta Force. He led many operations that were very successful. He was very brave, very courageous. He left 6 children. At the age of 33, he decided to go to med school. And he was supposed to start his rounds in the hospital on October 8th. He was a very loving, kind individual. The reason why he went to med school, because he wanted to save lives after having spent so much time in special ops. So he's terribly missed. He was my best friend, my oldest of 8 children. But I'm very proud to have had a son as courageous, as beautiful a human being as anybody could ask for.
And I'm sure he was and would be very proud of his father, too. And Ambassador, I want to thank you.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you.
You've become a good friend, a friend of the family. We very much appreciate you. Ambassador Leiter, give our best to the Prime Minister and all the folks over there.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
God bless you.